So welcome everyone in Peggy Watson's Ohana. What an amazing gathering, and so many times we've all been here before. Let's just take one quiet moment and bring ourselves present, whatever way you do that, and feel into the trees and the earth and the ocean and the air and each other. If you want to somehow hold a hand next to you or somehow acknowledge that we're not alone here, we're all together. Some of us are pretty excited. Okay, I'm going to invite Jonathan in to start us off in the Royal Hawaiian tradition. Thank you, Jonathan. If you'd like to stand for this, you can. Not mandatory, but we're going to honor the directions. Thank you. And Siri is going to offer a little Hawaiian prayer to begin us.
So, speaking of vibrations, but Peggy said that she wanted this
Use the mic.
for her. And I'll
Use the mic.
No, I don't do it like when I'm
Speak up
sorry.
then.
You'll hear it when I'm chanting, but I don't chant into a mic. So Peggy requested this, and I will go to the mic and tell you what it means afterwards. Oh, puka e kala makahihina me ka hua ka ihele no kumukai na amana iwa me hiaka me ke alu kapu o ke aiwa iwa ho ino i ke kapu me na ali e ala hea ai e no hia ka i ka polio ope.
So this is the first chant that I learned when I was on the Big Island. And it speaks of Ho'opuka is a puka. There are two obelisks in the Hilo district where the first light of the sun hits the Hawaiian Islands. And that goes through all the Hawaiian Islands. And it talks about our return of the ali'i. And Peggy Watson is definitely an ali'i. For those that don't know, those are the guardians that have come before us that hold the values of universal unity, no matter what your race, color, creed, or your sexuality. So that is for her, because Peggy is like a light. In the first morning's dawn, when the sun arises, she is that light in our heart. When we take the first breath each morning, she is the li'i that lives in our heart and continues to shine her beautiful light of the East and guide us all. Mahalo.
Hello, Siri. So I've been getting little nudges from Peggy during the last couple of weeks, and when we talked about this gathering, she keeps telling me, focus, this is her celebration of life, and she wants to put the emphasis on celebration. So please know that she's celebrating here with us and the entire ohana. So we're going to start off with a quick song, and when Daniel and I were collaborating on this, what songs these might evolve being, Daniel said, oh, this is how Peggy lived her life. So, Daniel.
Aloha, Ohana. This song is called Lead with Love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Try that. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. That was Peggy's line, yeah? So it's a really like upbeat and joyful song, and that's like the entire chorus, so please sing with us. I'm very cool, man. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other. Don't give up hope, don't give up, you're not alone. Don't you give up, don't you give up, you're not alone. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front, one foot and lead.
I'm told that Dave has a little surprise. Dave is Peggy's offspring is about to spring off. Here we go.
My mother was all about love. She was also about having fun and having dessert first. In fact, I'm sure my mother actually didn't have Dupuytren's in her hand. That was just a constant cramp for an ice cream cone. So we're going to take a break before it all melts, and we're all going to have an ice cream cone in honor of my mom.
But I need to get my husband with the ice cream.
Don't give up hope. Is there more? Do you need help? Is there more to carry? Okay.
I was thinking we should go right there, right down that path, but we gotta kind of.
All right, if someone could escort Dave back over here. I think he's on his third ice cream cone. Oh, that's fourth. Excuse me. Where'd your date go?
Lori. Lori. Oh, Lori.
Lori. Dave's date.
We're on
There
our
she
first
is.
date. Bringing up phones.
My phones are falling down my baby suit.
I don't know how you arranged that, Dave, with the dolphins arriving during the ice cream party, but that was pretty amazing. And thank you for the spontaneous for Barbara. Barbara, that was perfect. Ah, okay, she earned it. So, one of the things I'm aware of, and many of you in the audience are aware of, is the ohana that Peggy gathered. And there's some long-term ohana-ites out there. And I wanted to just acknowledge that this ohana is pretty well represented on the other side along with Peggy. So I just wanted to, a few came to my mind and I wanted to share them and bring them into the circle because they were all intricate parts of this circle, all people that we all knew. And when I'm complete, if I've missed anybody or somebody comes to mind, please let us know and bring them in. So obviously Ken and Joe Watson, we know they're here for sure. Thank you. And the ones that came to mind were Alia Hallowell, Shauna Carroll, Tech Nickerson, Malone McCrane, Floyd, I don't know if Floyd's last name, Sharon Floyd. He was well represented in Peggy's Rose Garden. Tom Lee, Joseph Dunsmore, Kelly Stevenson, Rich Heppner were the ones that popped into my mind. So if there are others that I have forgotten about, please bring them present. Donna Sue, thank you. Donna Sue, for sure.
Karuna.
Antion, just this past week, thank you. Oh yeah, we did sing. John Lydgate. Okay. Sky.
Jack.
Jack. Thank you. What was Jack's last name? I can't remember. Jack. Yes. Fellows, that sounds right. Yes, thank you. Okay, so we're knowing that this circle is all-inclusive and it's on both sides and they're all here. And with that in mind, keep this next song in mind while thinking of them.
So just a little moment right before the next song comes in, I just want to share because the verses for that last song somehow went off in the wind. So I just wanted to share what the words were because they feel like part of this gathering. And so the first verse is,
Don't give up hope.
one person knew it, go ahead.
Don't give up hope. You're not alone.
Try that again.
You're not alone.
Don't give up hope.
You're not alone.
See, they still don't know it.
Keep moving on.
Oh, one person knows it. One person knows it. Let's try it again.
Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Keep moving on.
Try it again.
Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Keep moving on.
Okay, for some reason those went off in the wind. What's the second verse? Try it again.
Lift up your eyes.
Do not
No, do not.
Don't you despair.
Don't you despair.
Do you love how they've completely forgotten the song?
Look up ahead.
Look up ahead.
The path is there.
Try look up ahead again.
Look up ahead. The path is there.
Okay, so enough of that. This next song is called Angels. And it actually came from a concert that Peggy called in. So many years ago in 2015, Peggy called in a concert of songs, all songs that had come from Lepauli, which is the wilderness where I spend time every day. And she'd come to me and she said, Daniel, have you ever done a concert of all of these songs from that wilderness? I said, no, we haven't. She said, that's what I'm getting from my guides. You have to do a concert of those songs. So this is from that concert that Peggy called in. And it's called Angels. And so it's literally like speaking with and singing with all of the beings that are here all around us. Remember the second verse, folks? Soften, let it soften your hearts. Bring in His spirits. It's the second verse. Now you're like, oh no, I don't remember the words. Yes, thank you. Okay, here we go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So this is the moment inviting anyone who would like to come up and share a memory or an experience with Peggy or Peggy and Joe or anything from the past couple of decades that is on your heart and wants to be shared. So this is all right. Thank you, Christina. We'll start the flow here. Thank you.
I'm going to keep it really short because I know there's a lot of you that want to speak. And so I just want to give gratitude and celebration for it was my honor to live with Peggy and to learn what it was like to live with unconditional love. And she was hell-bent on me learning to having a relationship like she and Joe. And she was hell-bent on getting me married, and she almost did. So I'm engaged. And once again, I'm living unconditional love. But whenever the world gets heavy, I think of Peggy and what would she have done. And she had her moments of being human, but then there was this heart of hers that she could just break on through any barrier. And so in this time where there's so much diversity in belief systems right now, I long to be that bridge. I long to be that compassionate heart, that encouraging heart that loves and understands everyone no matter what.
Maybe following each speaker, whoever feels like they'd like to speak next, maybe wander up here during the sharing.
So, I'm trying to remember how I met Joe and Peggy, but it was, I came here in 2001 and from Europe, and I came here for 6 months out of every year for 4 years. And like many people here, I had like a really hard time, transformative time. I went through the dark night of the soul. And often I felt like, oh, I wish I had a mom or a dad. And somehow I made it to the Way of the Heart gatherings on Sundays that Michael was at and many of you have been at. And I remember talking to Peggy and Joe at some point, and I just said, oh, I just wish I had parents like you. And then they grinned and they said, oh, we wish we had a daughter like you. And then we sort of adopted each other. And what Christina was saying is true for me too. I somehow learned out of that no matter what I did, it couldn't lessen their love for me. And one particular example was I offered to do apfelstrudel, like from the ground up, you know, on a big table with a cloth, and then you have a lump of dough and flour underneath it, and then you roll the dough and you pull it out until you can read a newspaper underneath it. This is how my grandmother taught me. And then you have the breadcrumbs and the apples and the cinnamon and the sugar and the raisins, and then you roll it up and then you fold it. But at the same time, they had Fantasia playing on their television, and I've never seen that. So between the apfelstrudel, the different parts, I went over and said, oh, what's happening in Fantasia? And then I went back to the apfelstrudel. And when Peggy related that experience to friends, she said, oh, it was flour wall to wall. But in saying that, I knew it was said with so much love. You know, there was none of this, you know, kind of. So Peggy, I hold you in my heart. I know you're here. And you have been such a beautiful presence for me. A welcome doc to come to this island and feel really part of the Ohana. And I just want to share a little prayer in sound.
I liked what Siri said about Peggy being like the morning sun. And I knew Peggy for 25 years. And what's important for me to share is that I didn't see a lot of her. I wasn't part of the Way of the Heart group. But whenever I saw Peggy, she affirmed me. She affirmed my kind of like angelic and light being nature. I felt seen by her and loved by her. And, you know, it didn't take much. And in that regard, she is a teacher and a way shower for us to how to see other people and how to hold them in the utmost highest regard. And that was the gift that Peggy gave me and continues through all of us to see that light in everyone we come across. So love you, Peggy. Thank you, Dave.
So I'm going to read something from a really good friend of Peggy's that Michael introduced. A lot of you know her, Grace Sears, one of the funniest women I know. And Michael and I went to Peru with her. She brought Diksha to Kauai. And she's living in Turkey right now. And she says, "Dears, I tuned in to the paddle out of later today in my dawn meditation. I saw that the waters of the planet were changed, soothed, uplifted, and restructured by the infusion of our beloved one's ashes. And the love and blessings and joyous appreciation and remembrances of all of you. Their beautiful earth and celestial consciousness still giving, serving, and blessing." I reread a channeling a few minutes ago from Peggy on our last Rose Garden dawn together. Jeshua's twin flame incarnated in two bodies. The Marys became the living waters. As such, they held all temperament of the waters, calm, placid, and a strength that cannot be stopped. So that's from Grace. And I have something to read, but this morning, just before everyone showed up at 10, I went out to swim with the dolphins because Steve backing up, or Stream, said he'd swim with them. So I went out on my stand-up board and dove in the water and saw these three really deep, couldn't see them very clearly. And I swam a little further away and they came up closer and there were two big ones and a smaller one, and the big one had leaves on both of its fins. And I just thought of Peggy and Joe and Ken, and I got the chills. And they swam around, and the biggest one went off to the side, dropped for the leaves, turned around and came up and picked them up again in front of me, and then swam away. So it was really heartfelt for me. It felt like, you know, they're there swimming. So up until the time of the week before Peggy passed, it was hard for me to even imagine life without her.
she was a pretty integral part of my life. We did so many things together or in groups with other people, and she was always there for me, as I was always there for her the last few years. I'd paddle my board out with her on the back of it, and we would go out to the dolphins, and then she would swim in. And they always came, no matter what, when she came down to the beach. And so for me, she's been mother, sister, friend, physician, you name it. She's kind of been there for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you as well. And I just want her to know how grateful I am for her and to be in my life. And she's still in my life just as much as she was. It just, I don't get to see her the same way, but I see her with my inner vision so much. So I'm just grateful that I had time to be with Peggy and Joe.
Wish I knew the Italian. And so my memory of Peggy and Joe is from this morning. Woke up in the dark and it was raining. I had all the stuff on my truck to bring for the pop-up tents and chairs and tables and stuff, and it was raining pretty hard, and then by the time I walked outside to cut flowers, it was not raining anymore, and I knew Peggy was in control of all this. So then by the time I was driving down Kauai, it was the most glorious sunrise I've ever seen. And then I met Richard here at 7, and the sky was one full rainbow. And then after we set up, I went out to take a swim, and I was just lying on my back looking at the clouds, and I was singing that Bocelli. So I was remembering how when I gave her physical therapy in her bed, she always had Bocelli blasting while we're during that. So I'm singing the Bocelli, and I'm remembering all the times when we met at Secrets, and Joe would greet me with a great big naked hug, and then, you know, and all the sunrise equinoxes and solstices, and I'm singing, I'm looking at the clouds, and then I get the feeling I should turn over. So I turn over, and then there's dolphins underneath me, and I look to the right, there's 3 on the right, and I look to the left, there's 3 on the left, and then a little one jumped over me. And Peggy and Joe were out there having a great time with all their friends. And I think that's most of what I have to say, except following up on what Michael was saying about the Ohana. So Alia Hollowell I was very close with her, and when Richard and Greta called a bunch of us over to help clean out the house and get it ready for sale, one of the things we got to do is dig up rose bushes, one that was planted as a memorial for Alia, and I got to deliver that to Hezar. So that rose bush has moved on. So, and I cleaned out the last dresser in there, and it got one of Ken's shirts. So, I think that's good. Yeah. Oh, I got it. So Peggy and Joe, yeah, when I was with them, I was 100% totally, unconditionally accepted. They didn't talk about love. They are love.
Aloha. I didn't know I was going to do this, but here I am. I was in my room this morning, and all of a sudden I thought of Peggy's next to the last book, the Christ Christening. I think it's called the Christ. In that vibration of the Christian. And I couldn't quite find the book, and I was looking around, and it seemed like Peggy wanted me to read something from it. And I said, Peggy, where's the book? I can't find it. And so I just closed my eyes for a minute, and then I opened my eyes, and I opened this door that was there, this sliding door, and there was a book right there. Then I opened the book to the passage that Peggy seemed to direct me to read, and I came to this passage, and I said, Peggy, I don't know if I can read this. And she said, yes, you can. So I'm reading this because Peggy told me to. So if you have any problems, go to Peggy. This is right from her book. And it's called Sananda Speaks on Sacred Love. Peggy, beloved Master, can you speak of the way of sacred love between you and Mary? Can you speak of a higher way of being together? Language of light was scriptured, and it translates, we were blessed. We were among the gentlings who sang as the rushes beside still waters bending in the wind. We allowed our breaths to be as one breath, following source to his beginning. We allowed that our bodies were in no disguise naked unto the eternal way of being, pleasantly arousing each other with nudging kisses, not falling into each other's mouths as movies depict, but by placing the intention of the breath upon the lips in the tenderest of torments, feeling the rapture of the Kundalini as it arose upon each ascending pathway, feeling at last its climax at our crowns, then schooling itself with discipline, allowing it to surge through our auric fields. Placing demands no more upon the way of other men, I pray to Father, Mother, God to show us a higher way of being in divine union, and it was given unto us how to proceed. We allow that you are there, Peggy. We allow that you followed these strict rituals of consecration of the divinity of the creative force within mankind, blessing it for the procreation of sweet offsprings, blessing it for the nourishment of our bodies, of the procreation of our bodies, of those ageless triangles of body, mind, and spirit. And we asked our star children to wait upon their childhood, to hold off through sweet puberty until the blessed forces within them could rise to their entirety. We invite you to make love in this way, leaving those dramas of consequentialness behind, holding those precepts. Behold, we are one. Behold, we are two. Behold, we are the few and the many that allows duplication. The Holy Tantra sings to the bilateral nature of spirit to become one once more. In so doing, we are one. Allow that in nature those animals do not share in this way of procreating, and yet the robin sings, whale dies, and sings. As all my children well know, one sings first to man. And it was signatured, Mary of the Magdalena Sananda, we are here. Thank you.
Aloha. We always work in pairs, Richard. So, does everyone remember the mission of Job? We had two missions. The first was to lighten up the light workers. That was his mission. And then the second was to hold down the sand on the beach. That was very important. But to remember the mission of Peggy. Her mission was to invite us to be who we are. Totally to be who we are. And I feel that every moment we spent with Peggy was that invitation constantly. And we were very fortunate to be with Peggy right at the end. And when Dave said goodbye, that's what she said to you. Dave, just be who you are. Just be who you are. And you are. Thank you. Thank you for being who you are.
I got choked up on that. Aloha, everybody. Peggy was amazing. You all know that. She was so powerful and strong and so loving. And I wanted to share a song, and please feel free to sing along with me. Ho'oponopono,
Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. And thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. And thank you, Ho'oponopono, 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 Ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. And thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. And thank you, Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono,
Hi, I'm Deborah. I met Joe and Peggy January of 1995 on Secret Beach. Back in the day when I met them on Secret Beach, back in the day when we all went without clothes. We swam with the dolphins and had many, many magnificent times. And the one thing I remember most about Joe and Peggy, and would like to share both of them at this moment, is just their joy at every day being new and welcoming whoever came into their circle that day. Whether we were on the beach and it was 4 of us, it turned into 12 of us, or it turned into 6 of us, or however many it was. Everybody had their sarong, threw it on the beach, and shared lunch. And no matter what you had, you shared it with everybody you had. And that was the joy that they brought into my life, having lost my parents at a very young age. They kind of took that place for me. And I was sharing with someone on the plane yesterday, it was hard to come into Kauai without Peggy being there with one of her homemade leis. Because that's just what Peggy did. Peggy had her homemade lei, and Joe came with his Spam shirt on. And he, that was his thing. And if it was Saturday night, we had to make it quick because it was Saturday night. And the things I loved about them most was the many gatherings that were all part of, and so many other people, Linda Masterson, Ilea, so many other people that we had domino nights with, waffle nights. I remember the night we all ate waffles and played dominoes and made ourselves sick and silly. And just so many beautiful memories I have of them. And just the greatest thing has been shared is that their ability to welcome in just anybody. If you happened to be in town, you automatically became a friend and you were welcomed over for dinner or for lunch or a hike or whatever. And that was just who they were. And that is such a huge piece of my life. And I just am so grateful to see all of the faces here that are familiar to me and know that there are many more that are not here, that are truly here in presence. And I just am seeing Peggy just in her laugh. And the last time I spent was with her and her sister in California at a place eating sourdough French bread, and that was one of her favorite things. So I just want to say thank you for all being here and just letting me be a part of this, because it's a beautiful honor.
Hello, everybody. It's so nice to be together again. My name is Cecily, and I'd like to show these lays. Fran Nestel really loved Peggy, and she wanted to make lays and did yesterday. So here they are. And I told Michael he could give them to anybody or use them any way he'd like. And so now for myself, I have some stories. I was trying to remember, how did I first meet Peggy? And I realized it was in 1988, about 7 months after I moved here with my son, who was 1.5 at that time. And Donna Sue had a class. I can't remember if it was 6 weeks or whatever. And Peggy was also a student in that class. And you know how she has a way of scooping you up. So she scooped my son and me up, and I remember some evenings we went over and Joe would make us a black cow, which is a root beer shaped with vanilla ice cream. Plenty of root beer and plenty of ice cream, and my son loved it. And I also remember when they were going over to New Zealand, and we all had a party, and my going away present to them was a bumper sticker, and it said, "Got spam?" And so that was on their bumper over in New Zealand. So anyway, we had many stories, and we had lots of love, all of us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlotte, and I had the pleasure of knowing Joe and Peggy since 1995, and actually it's 96, I believe. And it was quite funny because they came to my now yellow house that I live in, and I was renting it then. And Peg, as you all know, as myself, was very seriously into the hocus pocus, and and a true advocate of the higher realms in '96. And so somehow her and I had decided that we were kindred spirits. So Joe, on the other hand, was not convinced. So they came for lunch, and I made them a lovely lunch. And Peggy kept giving me the nod, "Charlotte, come on." And I knew we were going to do an exchange, and I was going to have the privilege of laying hands on Peggy. So, but she knew that we couldn't do it in front of Joe. So like 2 school kids, we ran up to my bedroom, and I go, whoa, 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 and changed the vibrations. She has an out-of-body experience. I have a pretty funny one. And meanwhile, we're concerned about Joe, because we're like, oh goodness, he's going to miss us. What are we going to say? We'll have to make up a story. So we go back downstairs, and Joe is out cold, directly below where I'd given her the healing, in the living room, snoring. So we just let him be until tea time and discussed our experience. And he said, "I don't know what came over me. I was here and then I was gone." And her and I just smiled at one another. So fast forward, the last time Peggy and Joe came to the very same house, which was, recently before they both passed. And I have a stargate for those of you who've been to my home. It's a 6-sided stargate with a 12-pointed star on the top, gold star, silver base. So it has 6 pukas, right? So the 3 of us, because Joe now is a serious believer, okay, the 3 of us put our heads on the inside of the huge crystal directly below the 12-pointed star. Peggy and I lay there doing our waiting to have the waves part and our mystical natures to reveal themselves. We got nothing. I thought, bloody hell, I'm going to get a refund on this Stargate. It's definitely not working. And so Joe, on the other hand, your beloved father, filled us in on all of the hierarchy, what was happening in the other dimension. And I thought, it only took 30 years, but we got there in the end. Bless them both.
Aloha, everyone. I'm Indigo, and I'm so grateful to get to be here with everyone. I knew Peggy and Joe from about 1990, when they were still going back and forth to Prescott, Arizona, which was a touchstone for me as well. And I canoed with them and played with them and loved with them. And a couple of things that really stood out to me this morning, and that was Peggy saying to me that they did not come in this lifetime to work on relationship. They already had that down, and they came in to do other things, which clearly was their light work and higher playground. And that was very interesting to me, because so many of us come in and relationship is such a predominant part of our lives, because we don't come with operating manuals that, give us really too many clues. Maybe some of the animals or some of nature gives us clues, but other than that, many of us, I can speak for myself, have been sort of bumbling through trying to figure out the secrets, and it was so comforting to know that these two beings had already mastered this, and they were moving on to different ground. I would say higher ground as well. Relationships are also higher ground. And one of my fondest memories was when I was living here, Joe and I would go out on the moon, at full moon, and I remember one time we were driving from somewhere, and he was just like, oh, we have to pull over, and we pulled over to some little place off the road where there was a little beach, and we did what we called an abun dance. So bearing our buns in the full moonlight and, running around, hooping and hollering, and it was just so precious. And he would always remind me of that when we would connect. And also, some years ago when I was back here, and we went to Kealia Beach, which every beach that we've been to with them, we always are there with them, even now. And Joe would get this little impish look in his eye, and as he'd turn around and look at the waves, and he'd point, and he'd get this twinkle in his eye, and he'd go, see ya, and then he'd go off and he'd just dive into the biggest wave that he could find, and it was just such a joy. I mean, they totally were like dolphins. And the fact that Peggy was a swimming teacher for so many years, I mean, it was just, how perfect. I mean, they just were like two dolphins swimming through life together, bringing magic and beauty and love and compassion and so much light wherever they went. And a couple years ago, when Peggy had just finished, I don't know if it was the first book, the beautiful one with the picture of them overlooking Larson's Beach. And we were on Moloa'a Beach, and she had gotten lost. She couldn't find us, and we had only a short time together. And we sat on the beach, and Gio filmed it, and I had brought some gifts for her, and then I walked her to her car after we'd had a wonderful swim, and she gave me that book and then told me she was working on the Mary Magdalene book. And that was the last time I physically saw her. And then I spoke to her on the phone a number of times because I had to be back on the mainland, but I feel her presence so much, and in this beautiful ohana of hers and ours,
I'm just so grateful, and I feel them everywhere. You cannot be on Kauai without feeling their presence, and so I'm so grateful. So grateful. Love you with all my heart, Peggy and Joe. So glad you're here. Mhm.
Well, I'm Ken, and it's been a real honor to sit and be with people as they make their transition to the next world. And Peggy's identical twin sister was there a lot toward the end, and I just have this image of the two of them face to face, silent, like they were back in the womb, connecting, communicating. They didn't need words. It was just it was a reminder that we're all like that in the ocean of this world. And then toward the end, she had her white dress up there, waiting to go back, to be dressed up, to be with Joe.
And the high heels.
The high heels and the white underwear.
We've known Peggy and Joe for years. We met them in 2006. And one of the first memories I have of Peggy, my wife and I were getting married, and Peggy was asking about my uniform, and Peggy said, "Do you have the right scarf to go around your waist?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, I'll make one for you." So the next thing we know, I have a nice scarf to go around, so I'm an official Hawaiian now because I have this scarf. But Peggy and Joe became some of our best friends on the island. I mean, who could not love Peggy and Joe? They were just the epitome of love and joy and happiness together. We would have them come over and we would play dominoes. And any of you who have ever played with Joe and Peggy with dominoes, Joe was very serious about this game. Joe would look around and check out every move, and every now and then he had a double he was going to play. Clap! And you knew you were in trouble because Joe had a plan. He was, and then they would come to our movie nights, and it was always a treat to see Joe and Peggy pull up because Joe always had his ice chest and his ice cream and his root beer. So everyone knew they were in for a treat when Joe and Peggy showed up at movie night. And Joe was a real humorist. Joe and I emailed each other constantly anything that we thought was worthy of good humor. And I really miss not seeing Joe's emails anymore because we shared the joy of laughter together. But we really miss Joe and Peggy, even though we sense their presence here. The friendship will be everlasting.
I got a message from Joe. That I should do this. So I forgot part of this morning. So after I came down the hill and I saw the glorious sunrise before I got here to meet Richard with the rainbow, I was driving along the highway, and I was trying to follow the speed limit. So I was going 25, and I look over to my left, and I see a chicken running right alongside of me, and keeping pace with me. And then I got to 35-mile limit and sped up, and the chicken was right with me. And then I got to the 50, and the chicken was right with me, and it ran past the front of the car, cut across in front of me, and went down the road. I think it's the road that Trishana lives on. And so I turned right to follow the chicken, and the thing I had noticed is that it was a three-legged chicken. And I come down the road, and the chicken's gone, but Joe's, the farmer, is standing right in front of me. And I say to Joe, "Did you see that chicken?" And he said, "Yeah, I see that chicken. You know, in fact, I grow those chickens." You know, and I said, "Well, what's with the three legs?" And he says, "Well, you know how on Sunday afternoon sometimes you make a roast chicken and your wife wants the drumstick and you want the drumstick, and then a good friend shows up and they want a drumstick too. So we're growing chickens with three legs." So I asked him, "And how do they taste?" And he said, "I don't know, that we never caught one yet."
Thank you, Stream. That's the first time I've seen you channel. One of the things that Peggy did every year, which was, I guess if there's something I've learned from Peggy, is how to put the loving in the little things. Every little thing she would be doing would be a loving action. And one of them is these annual calendars. And the way she did it for individuals. So every single, that's interesting, there's one of Daniel on here. Every single month there will be individuated pictures, usually photographs and things that Joe had taken, and channeled quotes cut out from Peggy from that year. So for one calendar, there will be 12 months of individuated stuff for you personally on every calendar, and she did around 90 calendars. That was a labor of love. I'd go over there starting probably in late October, and her whole dining room floor was covered with snippings and paste and cuttings, and she was putting these out. So when I was wondering what to put on that invitation, I said, "Oh, I'll just grab a calendar." So I went and I grabbed a handful of probably 10 years worth of calendars, and this one I picked up, and it's 2011, and I opened it to this. It came out to October, and it had the perfect channeling. Oop, I got the wrong month here, which went on the invitation, and I'll just read it shortly again in case you've forgotten. But it was for this invitation, and it said, "Gather remembrances then." So here we are remembering, based on this channeling. "Gather remembrances then from my holographic field that did but gather you in my Christing as if it were your own. For indeed it was so. Walk with me then Christed. Break bread with me each day, knowing it is only, but only, the Christed ones who eat." So thank you, Peggy, for not making me go through all the calendars. It was the very first one that I looked at. It was perfect. And those little things, I wasn't here when Peggy passed. I was over on the mainland. And I got back, and she had set aside a basket of things to give to me when I got back. And I used to ride my bike over to her house probably 3 or 4 days a week. And we'd sit on the porch and chat. And I would often bring avocados or my tree. And she would always, kind of in remembrance of Joe, cut out the Sudoku game from the Garden Island newspaper every day and have it saved there for me. So I was just overwhelmed when I got home, and I was looking through the basket of stuff, and in the last month of Peggy's life, she had saved all the Sudoku games from the Garden Island for me. I thought, unbelievable. So, God bless you, Peggy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to bring the choir back up here, and this next song, during rehearsal this Wednesday night, Peggy was sort of chuckling in my ear, because this song we were going to sing for you, and it's called I Am Witness. And what Peggy was laughing in my ear and said, as you sing this song, know that it is us on this side singing to you. So listen to these words as if they're singing to you. She was saying, we can see you a lot more clearly than you can see us right now. So soak up these words because they're from Peggy and the other side. Thank you for all the sharing.
Dave, would you like a hat? I just want to acknowledge you're in full sun now, and I don't know if that feels good to you. You okay?
Yeah.
You're okay. This song is called I Am Witness, and the entire thing is, I am witness to the glory that is you. So we are singing this for Peggy and, of course, Joe, and also what Michael just said is that apparently there's like beings on the other side singing this to all of you with us. This next song is called Grateful. And for those who came up and spoke, and also for those who didn't come up and speak, this is an opportunity to just call out words that you loved about Peggy and Joe. This is a song that was requested for Joe's celebration of life. So we sang it at Joe's celebration of life as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to sing through the chorus and then just leave spaces for you to call out things. And then we'll do the chorus again. And the entire chorus is this. Grateful, grateful, my life is blessed with your beauty.
Grateful, grateful, my life is blessed with your beauty.
Grateful, grateful, my heart is filled with your love.
Grateful, grateful, my heart is filled with your love.
That's the entire chorus.
Playfulness. Kindness.
Acceptance.
Joy.
Chili.
Vitality.
Ancestors.
Beauty. Flowers. Truth. Frequency.
Empowerment. Grateful.
My life is blessed with your beauty. Grateful, grateful. My heart is filled with your love.
Playfulness.
Exuberance.
Creativity.
Breath.
Music.
Earth. Flowers.
Stalwartness. Dessert.
Acknowledgement.
Grateful.
My life is blessed with your beauty. Grateful, grateful. My heart is filled with your love.
More gratitude.
Grateful, grateful. My life is blessed with your beauty. Grateful, grateful. My heart is filled with your love.
Woo!
So this young man has a few words to share with us. Mr. Dave Watson.
Woo!
Grateful, grateful. My heart is filled with her love. And, you know, I got to go last because we were taking a poll on who's known Joe and Peggy the longest, and I think that's not too long. Yeah, or maybe second, but probably not. Yeah, 1958, they brought me into this world, and may come as a surprise to you, but they were incredibly controlling parents. You know, Kenny and I lived a tortured childhood. They fought incessantly. In fact, I'm so blessed. Not once did I ever see my parents raise a voice at each other. And I think that's just unheard of in this world. But it's true. They were controlling, though. When we were in high school, Kenny and I had two rules. We couldn't box, and we couldn't ride motorcycles. And me being the rebellious one, I had a friend that was a little scruffy and scrappy, and we were screwing around in the backyard in the pool probably when I was about a junior in high school, and we started pushing each other around, and he popped me in the jaw before I saw his hand coming at me, and that's a good rule. I'm not going to box. So it wasn't until I was in high school when a friend of mine rode motorcycles, and it just seemed the thing to do, so I snuck behind their back and I got myself a motorcycle. I was thinking, I'm 18 now, I don't have to follow these rules, right? 4 months later, I broke my back on the motorcycle. So that was a good rule, too. So as controlling as they were, all those hundreds and hundreds of rules, they made sense, and they shaped Kenny and I, as you can imagine. We had a beautiful, beautiful upbringing, and it was all about family. At least once or twice a month, we'd jump in the car and go visit my mom's parents or dad's parents or other relatives. And you know, later in life, they came here and they have you as family, and that is something absolutely beautiful that I know family was super important to them, and it's been my blessing that they had you all here with them when the rest of their blood family was elsewhere. And I'm very, very grateful for that. I had prepared something to say, but after listening to you all, it just makes no sense. So I'm going to actually read something that they wrote to me. This was from a birthday just 12 years ago, so this goes on to how controlling they are. They're still giving me guidance, which I need. Dearest Davy, when you were just a little boy and you would lose your way, Mom and Dad were there to guide you when your confidence would sway. And now you're grown and on your own, walking tall like timber trees. But should your woods of life grow deeper, or life bring you to your knees, or if you simply just can't find the forest for the trees, if you fail to find the breadcrumbs, make no sense of good or bad, feel this symbol in your pocket with the love of Mom and Dad. And when you're gone to angels, we will still watch over you through your pocket compass, which is what she gave me as a gift. You will feel our love, and you'll know your north is true. Loving you truly, Mom and Dad. Thank you all for being here. It's really beautiful. I have been super blessed to have them as parents, and the 62 years I got to share with them, and they're not gone, still guiding me with all the hundreds of sage things and loving beauty that they shared with us, and I know they're in your hearts as well, and thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to know you, and hope we continue to do so. Love you all. Thank you.
Michael. Michael. Michael, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I just wanted to say that, you know, when Joe passed away, Peggy was absolutely devastated. And I would sit in the garden with her each morning, and she would be connecting with Joe and trying and feeling Joe as much as she could, and oftentimes tears running down her face. And Joe would always give the same message. 3 years later, he was still giving the same message, and that is that I'm right here with you. How could you not feel me? And so she's not gone. She's right here with us, and we thank you, Hannah. Thank you.
Have you ever seen the double bird of paradise? This is just proof they are together in paradise.
This next song is called Trees, and it speaks about the life of trees, but it actually is a metaphor for how we live our lives and how Peggy and Joe live their lives. Try these words, please. Trees grow slow and trees grow strong.
Trees grow slow and trees grow strong.
Trees sway in the wind their whole life long, with the wind.
Trees sway with the wind their whole life long.
Trees hold the ground as they reach for the sky.
Trees hold the ground as they reach for the sky.
And here's the line about Peggy and Joe's lives, all of our lives. And fallen trees still feed the seeds they cast before they die.
Fallen trees
still feed the seeds they cast before they die. So please sing with us if you can.
Trees grow slow
Thank you, Amaris, for showing us how to just walk around with no clothes on. People talking about like Peggy and Joe being naked swimming with the dolphins, and Amaris is like, yeah, see?
She was doing her fun dance.
Doing the fun dance.
All right, this came in last night from another dear old friend of the Ohana, Juliet, who many of you know, Paul and Juliet, who are here for many years. And it's sort of an interesting completion, not completion, but a step along the way in Peggy's journey, because for so many years she channeled for each one of us. So she sat here and brought forth that information from the other side. And so this is one where someone else sat here and is bringing Peggy from the other side. So she's up there now, and these are her words. My beloved family and Ohana, what a beautiful ceremony you have created for me and beloved Joe. I am truly honored and overflowing with love for each and every one of you. You have all touched my heart and soul over these past decades that we have shared on this sacred island of Kauai, Lemuria. And here you are all gathered again today in celebration once again. Please know that I am so happy being in my new reality. I am here with my beloved Joe, Ken, and those that have passed before me, sharing the most incredible oneness, love, and light that may be beyond your imagination. And I am also there with my beloved son Dave, dear Lori, and each one of you sharing that same oneness, love, and light. I would like to let you know that this reality that I now call home is possible on earth as well. And you are creating heaven on earth with every breath and every choice. When you choose love above fear, wisdom above ignorance, and oneness above duality, you anchor yourselves in the fifth dimension and above. You become a conduit for spirit to pour the most transformative energies through you into the heart of Mama Gaia and all that is. In doing this, you truly become an anchor of heaven on earth. I wish that you could see yourselves from the level that I am seeing you. You are masters, walking the earth in your beautiful earthly bodies. My wish for you is that you know these words to be true, that you feel worthy to humbly say, I am a master in this lifetime who has come at this pivotal time to awaken humanity by my radiant example. I know that at times you doubt this. In your darkest hour, when your soul is crying out at the injustice and suffering of the world, it may be difficult to feel that you are a master. I am here on the other side to tell you that you are always a master. Trust this, dear ones. Be tender, kind, and loving to the ego personality as it grows into the highest that it came to be. Call always on your highest self, your future self, your guides and angels, to assist you in transforming yourself once again into the masters you have come to be. It is much more simple than you think. For when you stay in love, joy, truth, celebration of life, and authenticity, you will create a flow in your life that will reflect this back to you. As you now accompany my dearest Dave and Lori as they take our ashes out to sea from this, one of our most beloved places on the planet, know that we are with you always. We are with you in the breeze that touches your skin, the rose in your garden, the ocean that nourishes and cleanses you, the very air you breathe. Look for us, talk to us, make us a part of your daily life, for we are with you always, loving and guiding you. You are most precious and beloved by us. We love you infinitely, Peggy and Joe. P.S. Joe says to be sure and hold down the sand. Brought forward through Juliet. Okay.
This is our final song here, and then there's going to be people swimming out to take the ashes out to the dolphins. And as those of us who are gathered on the shore for that, we will also be bringing in Hawaii Aloha when we're down there, when the ashes are being carried out. This particular song is about what we've just done here. It's called Pool of Love. And just try these words. May the pool of love we have gathered here. May the pool of love we have gathered here. Spread its wings and fly far and near.
Spread its wings and fly far and
From
near.
the depths of our hearts to the farthest star.
From the depths of our hearts to the farthest star.
May our love bless everyone. That's the entire chant. And if you feel moved to stand and join hands, please do. Come a little closer, Kai. Closer. You can join our circle. Make a circle.
May the pool of love we have gathered here spread its wings and fly far and near, from the depths of our hearts to the farthest stars. May our love bless everyone. May our love bless everyone.
May the pool of love we have gathered here.
May the pool of love we have gathered
Spread its
here
wings.
spread its wings and fly far
From
and
the depths of our hearts.
from the depths of our hearts to the farthest
May our love
May our love bless everyone.
One more, bless everyone.
May our love bless everyone.
May the pool of love.
The pool of love we have gathered here spread its wings and fly far and near, from the depths of our hearts to the farthest stars. May our love bless everyone. May our love bless everyone. May our love bless
And that includes all beings seen and unseen.
Okay, we're going to wander down by the water. Richard is going to lead us in a little prayer, and then Joe and Peggy will head out to sea with the dolphins, and we will join together in song.
Temple. Big crystalline temple from Lemuria. So before we go out there, and while the song's being sung, being inside the crystalline temple, Peggy always brought us
bless the water. That all the energy is spread throughout every heart on earth. And they bring love, peace, harmony, light, and that we elevate ourselves continuously to swim in the divine ocean of love. Aho! Aho!